All right, well, welcome again, everyone. As I mentioned, my name is Stephanie Harper. I'm with the City of Long Beach in our Development Services Department, specifically in Housing and Neighborhood Services. I'm joined here by my colleague, Courtney Richards. Courtney, I'm not sure if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, it's great. My name is Courtney Richards. I'm also in Development Services and Housing and Neighborhood Services Bureau. Worked with homeowners for the last 20 years, creating homeownership for many of our Long Beach families, and just can't wait to look forward to helping more families achieve the goal of homeownership. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, we're so glad that you joined us tonight. Here's a little bit of our plan. We are going to walk through the city's First-Time Homebuyer Assistance Program. We'll specifically spend time talking through each of the eligibility requirements for this program. Then we'll talk about the application process and how grants will be awarded. And we'll close with next steps. We have a special treat tonight. We have two representatives from the Federal Housing Administration, you may know them as FHA, that will talk a little bit about FHA loans. That might be a resource for you. And then we'll close tonight with time for questions and answers. Likely you came here because you have questions about the program, and we want to make sure that we're able to answer as many of those as we can. We think our presentation will take about 20-25 minutes. We're going to end tonight at 7:30, so that gives us the remainder of time to address questions. You may notice that we have a lot of folks joining here tonight. We have over 200 people. And in that format, you all are on mute. Unfortunately, with that larger group, it just becomes too cumbersome to allow folks to go off mute and ask questions verbally. But instead, we will be handling questions via the Q&A function in Zoom. And so you'll see that Q&A button in your Zoom menu. You can type in questions anytime during the presentation. We'll be addressing those questions, though, at the end. If by chance we don't get time to answer your question, if you have additional questions that come up as you're reviewing our website or after the presentation tonight, or if it would just be easier to talk through your situation, maybe more than what you can type into the Q&A box, please reach out to the Long Beach Resource Line. They are trained on our program. You can reach them at 562-570-4246, and they can help address any questions that you have. All right, so our First-Time Homebuyer Assistance Program is a down payment and closing cost assistance program designed to help Long Beach residents buy their first home in the city. And this is a program that will provide grants of up to $20,000 that you can use towards your down payment, towards the closing costs on your new home, which can be things like loan fees or title and escrow fees. And you can also use it towards loan points or fees to buy down the interest rate on your mortgage. So you may have heard that interest rates have risen in the last year, and your lender might offer an option where you can buy down that rate, and a lower rate could make your monthly mortgage payment more affordable. So if you're awarded this $20,000 grant, you can use those funds towards any of these three cost categories or any combination. So maybe you want to put half towards your closing costs and use the other towards loan fees. All of that would be eligible. This program is funded through the Long Beach Recovery Act, and we have enough funding to be able to award approximately 100 households with this grant. This is a true grant. It is not a loan. It is not a mortgage service. And what that means is there is no repayment required. And because it is a grant, it generally can be layered with other first-time homebuyer down payment assistance or closing cost assistance programs. So if there's a special program that you qualify for through your lender or through another down payment assistance program, we'll highlight a few resources tonight. Typically, generally, those programs are amenable to layering a grant like this with that. So you might be able to use both the grant from the City of Long Beach and another down payment or first-time homebuyer assistance program. So I want to talk through the eligibility requirements for this program. The first is that, well, in general, the focus of this program is to help Long Beach residents who have been underrepresented in homeownership be able to buy their first home. And so all of the eligibility requirements that you're going to hear us talk about are designed around that focus. And so the first eligibility requirement is that everyone who is buying the home needs to be a US citizen or a permanent resident. So let's say you're buying the home alongside your spouse or your partner. You two would be co-buyers. Both of you would need to be a citizen or permanent resident. But if you had a family member or another person living in your home with you, they would not have to meet this requirement. They wouldn't have to have citizenship or permanent residency. It only applies to those who are buying the home. The second eligibility is that you and any co-buyers would need to be first-time homebuyers. And federal guidelines define this generally as someone who has not owned a home in the last 3 years. Next, to qualify for the program, you need to be a first-generation homebuyer. This is defined as someone whose parents or guardian has never owned a home during your lifetime. Or if your parents or guardian owned a home, they lost their home due to a foreclosure or short sale, and they don't own a home now. Or if you spent any time in the foster care system when you were a child or a young adult, you also would qualify as a first-generation homebuyer. Now, for the first-generation homebuyer requirement, only one of the buyers in a household needs to be a first-generation homebuyer. So for instance, again, if you're buying your home with your spouse and your parents owned their home, but your spouse's parents didn't own a home or they lost their home, your household would qualify for this grant because at least one of you would be a first-generation homebuyer. And we are asking for verification of first-generation homebuyer by asking you to sign a self-attestation form. Next, to qualify for the program, you need to live within a specific area of Long Beach that the federal government has designated as a community development block group area. I know that name is kind of a mouthful. You can see it here on a map. Again, it's a designation from the federal government that represents about half of Long Beach. It is primarily in northwest and central Long Beach, so there are small pockets on the east side. You can see the map here, but what I highly recommend is that you go to our program website, and we have a function where you can type in your address, and it will show you whether that address where you currently live falls within this community development area or not, which will tell you if you are eligible for this program. Next, to qualify for the program, you need to meet program income limits. These are adjusted based on the number of people in your household. So for example, as you see on the chart here, if there are 3 people in your household, your income needs to be no more than $123,000. That's the maximum amount that you can make in order to qualify for the program. And when we are looking at income, we're looking at income for everyone in the household who are adults, who are ages 18 and older, and we look at all income sources. So for example, let's say you're working, you're employed, you receive a paycheck, and then your mom lives with you and she receives a pension or Social Security, and then you also receive regular child support for your child. All of those would be considered income sources, and we would count them all when we're calculating your household income. So for this program, we do not have a set amount of money that you have to contribute as a down payment towards your home, a set amount of your own money. There isn't a requirement around that. However, we do require that after you close on the home, after the purchase of the home is complete, your liquid assets needs to be not more than $40,000. So that means your savings and your checking account or investment accounts that you have need to not be total more than $40,000 after you purchase the home. That does exclude retirement accounts. We are not calculating retirement accounts as part of this. I know it's a little bit technical, so let me give you an example. Let's say that you've been saving for a home and you currently have $60,000 in savings. When you purchase the home, you would need to put at least $20,000 of that $60,000 into the purchase of the home, for instance, towards your down payment, in order to qualify for the grant, because that would leave you with $40,000 in savings. So you would meet this maximum limit. And this amount is adjusted if you were to receive a grant that's less than $20,000, though we do anticipate that people who are awarded the grant will receive the full amount, which is $20,000. And then the last homebuyer eligibility requirement is that you need to be pre-approved by a lender for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage before you apply for the program. And Courtney is going to talk about this in more detail when he goes over the application process. So if you are awarded the grant, you can use the grant funds towards the purchase of a single family home, a townhome, or a condo. That means that homes like mobile homes or multifamily homes like a duplex or a triplex are not eligible for this grant. The home that you buy can be located anywhere in Long Beach, and I want to highlight that. So you need to buy a home within the city of Long Beach in order to qualify for the grant. However, while you currently need to rent, you'll be living in that community development area that I talked about a couple slides back, that map that we showed you. The home that you purchase doesn't have to be located in that community development area. The home can be located anywhere in the city of Long Beach. And if you're awarded the grant, we will ask you to sign a commitment agreeing to live in the home as your primary residence for at least 5 years. And the purpose for this is that this grant is designed to help promote long-term homeownership within Long Beach. It's not designed to go towards a rental property or a flip property, for example. The last thing I want to highlight here is that we will be asking applicants to complete an 8-hour homebuyer education course. And this needs to be taken from a housing counseling agency that has been approved by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or you may know them as HUD. You can take this 8-hour course in person, or you can take it online. Housing agencies generally do charge a fee for this. The fee varies by agency. You're welcome to shop around and find one that works for you. We recommend that you complete this course as early in your home buying process as possible. You have until the close of escrow to submit that certificate to us in order to be eligible for the grant, but we do recommend that you don't wait until you open escrow and that you take that course sooner. And you can find a housing counseling agency that offers this course by looking on the HUD website, which we have here on the slide. It's hud.gov/find-a-counselor. And I'm now going to turn this over to Courtney, who is going to walk us through the application and grant award process.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie, for covering eligibility. Now we want to move on to the application and grant award process. The application for the program will open on March 15th. March 15th on our program website. There are 4 steps to the application and grant award process. Let's cover each one of those now. We've received a high level of interest in this program. So we encourage you to get ready now so you can apply as soon as possible. First step. The first step in this process is before we open the application, before you apply for the program, you need to be pre-approved for a mortgage by a lender. If you're just getting started with the home buying process, you have a few weeks to find a lender and complete a pre-approval process before the application actually opens. Feel free to talk to a few lenders to shop around for a good loan that's right for you. You need to find a good loan that works for you. So feel free to shop around with your bank and lenders to get the best rate possible. To qualify for the program, you'll need to be pre-approved for a 30-year fixed rate loan, which is a standard mortgage loan. You'll need to upload your lender pre-approval letter as part of the program application. The HUD Approved Counseling Agency is a great resource to help you, as Stephanie mentioned earlier, to help you in this process. Again, you can log on to hud.gov/find-a-counselor. The second step to apply for the program is to apply for the program on March 15th. Again, the application opens on March 15th. That's your second step. The application will be available on our website. We can provide a hard copy of the application if needed, though we recommend doing it online, and you can use computers, the local library to access the application if needed. We partner with an organization called Forward to provide the application assistance. Once you create an account for the application, you'll have a Forward program navigator available to you for any questions or if you need help uploading your documents. You can contact your Forward navigator by phone, email, or text. The application process will include uploading documents that we will use to verify your eligibility. This includes your lender pre-approval letter, a copy of your credit report from your lender, a utility bill that we use to verify your address, and income documents like paycheck stubs and tax returns. You can see a list of required documents that you'll need in our program guidelines on our website. Again, all of these are on our program website. I advise you to share this website with your lender and your realtor so they can be more familiar with the program. We'll review the complete applications in the order that they are received. It is important to submit all required documents as soon as possible as we can review them. We'll then notify you if you qualify for the program. We're going to notify you if you can move forward with the program. Program qualification does not guarantee that you'll receive a grant. Program qualification is valid for 6 months. If you do not open an escrow within 6 months of receiving your qualification notice, then you'll need to update the information with us to requalify for the program. Step 3, after you qualify for the program, you'll move forward with shopping for a home with a realtor of your choice. So you feel free to use any lender or realtor. At this point, you'll be shopping for a home and a home to fit your need. Once you find a home in Long Beach that you'd want to buy, you'll submit an offer. If the seller accepts it, you'll receive a purchase agreement and escrow will be open on your home. At that time, please upload the purchase agreement to your program application. That will notify us that you found a home. Step 4, grants will be awarded on a first-come, first-served basis to qualified applicants at the time they open escrow. If funds are available at the time escrow opens, the city will work with your lender to award the grant and disperse the funds directly to the escrow company. At this time, I would like to turn it back over to Stephanie for the next steps in the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Courtney. So we're going to wrap up here and then hear from our FHA representatives. So just a summary, since the application is not yet open, you are in a really good spot to get this information now, especially if you're just at the beginning stages of considering buying a home and you don't yet have a lender pre-approval, because you have a month. You have a month to get ready. You have a month to understand the program, go through a lender pre-approval process. So if you're interested in moving forward, your first step should be to go to our program website, which we have here. It's longbeach.gov/lbhomegrant. And I want to highlight 2 things on the website. The first thing you should do is complete the eligibility self-screening form to confirm that you're eligible to apply. This is a form. It has 5 simple yes or no questions. You can complete it and it'll tell you yes or no if you're eligible to apply. It also includes that link where you can look up your address to see if it falls within that community development block group area. The second thing I want to highlight on the website is our program guidelines and our frequently asked questions. Take some time to review those. And if you are already working with a lender or a realtor, as Courtney mentioned, we highly recommend that you share this with them. Some of the terms can get technical if you haven't done this before, looking at escrow, how the grant award works with that process. Share it with the professionals that you're working with, give them the website and the guidelines so they can help be familiar with it and help you kind of process this as well. If that you complete that self-screening form and you see that you are eligible to move forward and you want to move forward in this process, go ahead and get pre-approved by a lender if you have not already, if it is the right time for you to do so. And then again, you want to apply for the program when the application opens. We do anticipate we will need to close the application fairly quickly, just depends on how many applications we get, but we've received a high level of interest thus far. So there's a good chance we might need to close the application soon if we have a high number of applications where we think we might be able to commit the funds. If you need some help in the home buying process or you want to look into other resources, the first thing, again, we've already talked about these housing counseling agencies. You can find them on the HUD website here. If you're at the beginning stages of thinking about buying a home, wondering how you might be able to afford it, how you find a realtor or a lender, what the steps are in the home buying process, we highly, highly recommend that you reach out to a housing counseling agency. There are several in our local area that can be available by phone or in person or have online resources. So please check them out. And then the second resource we want to highlight is the California Housing Finance Agency. They go by CalHFA. This is a state agency, and they offer a number of down payment and closing cost assistance programs, as well as their own mortgage services. They work with a network of lenders. You can find their lenders on the website, which we have listed here. And again, check them out. Even if it turns out you are not eligible for this program, check out the resources because they do have a number of other first-time homebuyer down payment assistance that you might be eligible for. And then the last information here, I will just leave this up. Again, this is our program website. We're going to say this over and over again. We have lots of great info on there. Please take a look. And then if you have additional questions, you can please contact the Long Beach Resource Line, and we have their number here. And so at this point, I'm going to invite Patricia from FHA to talk about FHA loans and how that might be a resource for you as well.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Aguilar. I am with the Federal Housing Administration, or FHA, along with my partner Esther Yamashiro, who is also online. And I just want to take a moment to introduce you to the FHA mortgage program and the benefits it could provide. Our focus at FHA is providing homeownership opportunities for low to moderate income first-time home buyers, which is essentially the focus of this down payment assistance program from the city of Long Beach. One of the perks of an FHA first mortgage is that it allows the combination of down payment assistance, grants, and financing. FHA loans have worked successfully with government assistance programs in the past, such as, this grant offered by the city of Long Beach is a prime example. And then as well as other secondary financing options. Stephanie just referred to CalHFA, who provides secondary financing and other down payment assistance programs. And FHA has historically worked very well in combination with those programs. So what is FHA? Why does it matter? So FHA is a government mortgage insurance program for the first mortgage. So what that means is that because the mortgage is insured, they're able to have greater qualification flexibilities, which could provide a great opportunity for someone who may not otherwise qualify for a conventional mortgage. For example, an FHA mortgage, you can qualify with a lower minimum FICO score or credit score requirement. In order to get maximum financing with a down payment as low as 3.5%, it can go all the way down to $580. And then you can actually go even lower, all the way down to 500 FICO score, but that would require a 10% down payment. And if you don't have a credit score, you may still be able to qualify for an FHA mortgage, but it will be subject to verification of non-traditional credit, whether you're making payments to, Netflix or making rent payments, something that doesn't show up on your credit report. You may still be able to use that as a credit item. Some other flexibilities include minimal seasoning requirements for bankruptcies and foreclosures. So if you had a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, as long as it's been a minimum of 2 years, you can still qualify for an FHA mortgage. And if you're on a Chapter 13 bankruptcy payment plan, you just need 1 year of payment history, and you can still get an FHA mortgage. There's other more relaxed requirements for derogatory credit, such as collections and charge-offs, and medical collections are not considered debt with an FHA mortgage. Another perk is that, or another flexibility, is that there are provisions for reduced income due to COVID-19 related economic events, whether you had a gap in employment or you had a reduction of hours that resulted in less income during the COVID-19 pandemic. There's flexibilities for that. And there's also ability to use what we'd consider non-employment income sources, such as disability, retirement, alimony and child support, and public assistance, even foster care payments, that could be included as a source of income. And then last but not least, there's also FHA allows for 100% gifts. So whether it's your down payment, closing costs, prepaids, any of your costs can be given to you as a gift, as long as it's from an acceptable source. And you can combine the gifts with any down payment that you receive, whether it's secondary financing or grant. So you really could, if you have a donor willing to give you a gift, you may be able to close with none of your own money. So that's another flexibility. So I will provide some links in the chat for your convenience that have some useful FHA information, such as our FAQ page. I'm going to provide an approved condo lookup tool and FHA approved lender list, as well as the link to Office of Housing Counseling, which Stephanie and Courtney referred to finding a counselor. So the Office of Housing Counseling can help you really navigate all aspects of your home buying process, including helping you getting ready for your mortgage. And it's a really good resource to have. So I'll provide those in the chat. Thank you for your time, and I wish you luck on your home buying journey.
Great. Thank you so much, Patricia. Okay, so we have concluded our presentation. I'm going to leave this slide up just so you have access to the website. And again, the phone number, if we don't make it to your question. I see a few folks have raised their hand. We're not able to unmute. Instead, to ask a question, you need to type it into the Q&A box. And for those, you can do that in Spanish as well, and we'll have it interpreted. If you are joining by the Khmer audio channel, you can unmute and speak in Khmer with our interpreter if you don't have the Khmer script or font downloaded to be able to type. But again, make sure you hit that Q&A button here. And Courtney and I will just, I think, alternate on this. Courtney, do you want to go first with a question?
Sure. I'll take the first question. Outside if FHA loans, are there any other recommended financial institutions for potential grantees? So I said earlier, we do not have a preferred lenders list. We're willing to work with any lender, any bank, any realtor of your choice. So feel free to shop around, see if you can get the best rate possible to fit your need. Thank you.
Great. And so another question is, this person says that their husband's parents don't own a home. One of their parents does, and one of their parents does own a home. Would they still qualify? Yes, in that situation, you would, if both you and your husband will be buying the home as co-buyers together, because again, your husband would be the one who would qualify since their parents did not own a home.
Okay. Next question. By when does the recipient need to use the grant by? I think you're referring to after you get an approval qualification notice, you have 6 months to use it. Otherwise, you'd have to reach back to us to requalify. And hopefully their funds are available at that time. But you do have 6 months to purchase a home after you get qualified. Thank you.
The next question is, do DACA recipients qualify? This is a great question. Part of the reason we have a requirement around citizenship or permanent residency is because the intent of the grant is to promote long-term home ownership, and there is that occupancy requirement. So you need to agree to live in the home for a set minimum amount of time. And so folks with temporary residency, their residency status could change. Now for DACA recipients, I would need to know a little bit more around the type of loan and mortgage that they might qualify for and the anticipated time of residency. So that's something where you could contact us and we could maybe look into that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, I have an HUD-approved 8-hour certificate for a home buyer course. It's a few years old. Will this be accepted? We're asking that you have at least had taken the 8-hour course within the year, and then we would accept that. Again, log on to HUD Counselor website and see if you can find a class and take advantage of that, and then we'll make sure you get the certificate because we're going to need a copy of it. Thank you.
There's a few coming in on first generation. I'll try and answer those together. So there's a question on, am I considered first generation if my parents are still paying a mortgage? No, you would not, because that would mean that your parents have a home. So unless there was another buyer who did qualify as first gen, you would not qualify under that circumstance. And then there's another person that asks, oh, I just missed it. Whether you have to be both a first-time home buyer and a first-generation home buyer, and that is correct. You do need to be both first-time home buyer, and at least one of the people buying the home needs to be a first-generation home buyer.
Okay. Someone asked a question about a 30-year fix, FHA, VA, conventional. So yes, you must qualify for a 30-year fixed loan. It can be FHA, VA, or conventional.
There are several questions around the community development block group area. Will there be exceptions? What if I don't live in that area, but I do meet income requirements? Unfortunately, no, for this program, you need to meet all of the eligibility requirements. So you would need to currently live within the community development block group area. There is a question around like, how long do you have to have lived in that area? We don't have a minimum time frame. You just needs to be where you currently live now.
Okay. Is this a credit-based approval? No, it's not a credit-based approval. We are asking for a copy of your credit report. We are going to look at that to make sure that you have not owned a home before. And among other things that we're looking for while we're reviewing your documents. But you get that credit report from your lender. You will need to work with your first mortgage lender to be approved, and that's when he'll take a look at your credit for the first mortgage. Again, this is a grant. This is not a loan, so we're not looking at your credit for the approval. Thank you.
There's a question around income restrictions, whether that is based on before tax or after tax. It's a good question. That is based on before tax, so annual, your gross income annual before tax and any deductions.
Okay. Let's see. How long are we allowed to extend time for home buying after the first 6 months, considering that we continue to meet the qualification requirements? So qualification is good for 6 months, and then when and if you don't find a home within that time, you reach out to us and to see if you re-qualify for the program for another 6 months. Thank you.
There's a question about how long after I apply will I be notified if I qualify? This kind of depends on a couple of things. So one, on volume of applications, which we don't know yet, but we think might be high. And then two, whether your application is fully complete and you provided all of the requested information. We will do our best to process these as quickly as possible. We right now think that we can get program notifications out no later than 30 days after a complete application is received. I anticipate it'll be a lot faster though for the first 100 or so folks that apply. So make sure you get your application in, but make sure it is complete and you provide all requested information.
There was a question, will this program only be available this year? This program is available until funds run out. Again, this is a very popular program. Applications are not out, but there are big interest for it. So the quicker you could stay on top of the eligibility guidelines, visit our website, have your lender and realtor involved and knowing about this program so that we can get your documentation quick as possible, and that'll give you the better chance of participating in this program.
There's a question around how will the city decide who gets the award? Is it based on a first come, first served basis? So if you remember those 4 steps, you will apply for the program. After you're pre-approved, you'll apply for the program. We'll let you know that you're qualified to move forward, but we actually award the grant when you open escrow on a home. So that's when you've submitted an offer, it's been accepted, and you're in the escrow process. If funds are available at that time, then it'll be awarded. So it is first come, first served after your initial qualification when escrow opens. If you talk with a lender or a housing counseling agency about the lender process, our grant award process is going to be very similar. So your lender is also going to give you an initial pre-approval letter, just like we're going to give you initial program qualification letter. But your lender doesn't actually approve your mortgage loan until you've found a home and you've opened escrow. Then they do their full underwriting and they approve the loan at that time. And so our process mirrors it. We'll first give you a program qualification notice, and then we will do our final grant award approval once escrow is opened. So you apply with us first to get pre-qualified, and then let us know once you've found a home, you have an accepted purchase agreement. We'll earmark the funds for you, confirm that you're eligible at that point, and then make the grant award.
Will the renters in these zip codes have to be on time with their current rent? Basically, not behind on their rent. This has nothing to do with the rent. So this is a homeownership program. Just to answer your question, no. And this is a homeownership program, and you can talk with your first lender to see if that affects your first loan, but that would not affect this grant. Thank you.
There's a question about, is there a limit on the home price for this program? We do not have a purchase price limit. that is, whatever you are able to qualify for with your lender or whatever you decide to purchase, but there's no limit with this program.
How many points? There's a question that says, how many points can we come down with this grant? That's a question for your first mortgage lender or the bank that you choose. Again, it's up to $20,000. You can speak with them to see what's the best use, whether it's for down payment, closing costs, or to buy down your points, and how much that would get you in today's market.
There are questions around, is this program only offered for this year? Will the program be offered in the future? I think we've answered some of those questions. This is, we have funding to award about 100 grants at this time. I don't know if funding will be renewed. So the ability to offer the program is really based on whether additional funds will be available.
There's a question regarding school loans and how this will affect the program. School loans, again, that's not going to affect your qualification for our city program. You can have that discussion with your first lender, see if that affects your ability to qualify for a first mortgage loan, but it's not going to affect this program. Thank you.
There's a number of questions that would be best served with talking through a lender professional. So what type of credit check is required in the lender pre-approval? Do I and a spouse need separate pre-approvals? How much do I request in a pre-approval? Those sorts of questions you really should direct towards a lender. So just want to flag that because I do see a number of them coming in. There's a question about, do all adults in the home need the certificate? I'm assuming that's asking about the homebuyer education certificate. It's a great question. Everyone who is buying the home, so if you and a spouse are buying it, you both would need to complete the homebuyer's course. But if there are other adults living in your home, family members or a partner who's not buying the home, they don't need to complete the course.
There's another question regarding grant and what the use is for closing or down payment. Again, it can be used for closing costs, it can be used for down payment, and also can be used to buy down your points, buying down your interest rate. What that is lowering your interest rate. Again, you would have that discussion with your first mortgage lender to see what way this program will better benefit you with your first mortgage loan.
There's a few questions coming in asking about other ways of verifying your current address if you don't have utilities in your name. If that's the case, we can work with you during the application process to accept another form of official mail. And so by that, I mean, like an advertisement or apply for a credit card. That type of mail probably isn't going to qualify, but something more official like a bank statement or other types of mail that's recent within the last 30 to 60 days, we might be able to work with you to verify your residency in that way. So just make sure you flag that during the application process, and we'll work with you so that won't be a holdup for you.
All right. Let's see. Let's see, here was a few questions. Again, I gotta agree with Stephanie. A few questions regarding your first mortgage loan and banks. So definitely reach out to the bank that you're working with, the first or mortgage company, and ask them about qualifying for a first-time home buyer, for a loan as a first-time home buyer. Again, a lot of this is covered in the 8-hour workshop that nonprofits do offer. So make sure you go onto the HUD's website so that you can find out which different groups are offering the 8-hour workshops.
We have a question come through around FHA loan, and it says, how does one start to apply for an FHA loan? Is it with any lender, or do we go on the FHA website to start? Patricia, I don't know if you're able to answer that question.
Yeah, so you could just go to any lender that is approved to do FHA loans. I have provided the link in the chat, and I've also provided it in one of the answers, but I can also resend it again. And that'll give you a list of FHA approved lenders that can do FHA loans. So I hope that answers the question in terms of getting started with an FHA loan. Again, you can also go to the Office of Housing Counseling, and they can also give you more guidance and answers as well if you have any questions about the mortgage loan process.
Okay. There's a question that says, can my sister and I receive the grant separately and use it to purchase a home together? No. So if you're purchasing a home, that would be one grant. You're not going to be able to combine two grants. Thank you.
Okay, so we are right at about our time to end, and I know that we weren't able to get through a number of these questions. I do see some questions around what time does the application open, and I just want to flag that if you registered for today's event, we have your email address, and we will notify you when the application is open. It is going to be on our website, so you can check that as well. But if you did not register for today's event, and you happen to find the link on our website and just join, make sure you go to our website and you sign up on our interest list. That gives us your email address. And again, we will send out an email blast to let you know when the application is available. If we were not able to get to your question, I apologize. I want to ask that you take a look at the website. There are a number of questions come through that are answered in either our frequently asked questions or our program guidelines. Again, this whole presentation will be available for viewing on the website. And if you still have questions or if you'd like to talk through things, here is the program contact here. Please contact our Long Beach resource line for further help. So thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you for your interest in the program. We hope that this was helpful, and best of luck as you move forward in your home buying process.
Also, just want to say thank you to everyone that attended tonight. Again, work with your realtor of choice, lender of choice, HUD counselor of choice, and really jump on it. The application is not out yet. It's March 15th, so you have the best chance of getting in and getting this grant. This is a grant, not a loan. So this is a $20,000 grant that'll help you purchase your home. So take advantage of it. Make sure you look at the eligibility guidelines and to understand what documents, again, is needed. And we look forward to working with you guys to creating more homeowners within our city. Thank you.